God is rising. This is Dr. Coach K coming to you live to today's Game Changers Championship curriculum. We are continuing on our mini series to introduce you to the Avatar system and University Academy that will include the Micronations Universe movement. This is going to be a conversation and a coaching session in regards to the three scholars that will be helping us discuss the rich get richer and the poor get prison, the prosperous soul, and also the evoke excellence as a coach. So let's begin. So sorry, I just got over a cold, so I have to cough sometimes or clear my throat. This section is about poverty and inequality. So these scholars discuss the scholars, just in case you are new to the circle, is Dr. Raymond and Dr. Layton. And they talk here on page 31, Crime Control in America, about poverty and inequalities. Last discussion we talked about was known sources of crime. And let's continue on. The last sentence to the last conversation is that, but we know as well that many, if not most poor, unemployed slum dwellers do not engage in street crime. Yet to say that this means we do not know that poverty and the other conditions discussed below are sources of violent crimes. It's like saying that we do not know that a bullet in the head is deadly because some people survive, or because we do not fully understand the physiological process that links the wound with the termination of life. Okay, so let's move forward. Those youngsters who figure some prominently in arrest statistics are not drawn equally from all economic strata. Although there is much reported and even more unreported crime among middle class youngsters, the disturbing level of violent crime attributed to this age group is largely the work of poor inner city youth. This is the group at the lowest end of the economic spectrum. Unemployment hovers around 25%, with underemployment percentage of persons either jobless or with part-time low-wage jobs still higher. This is a group with no realistic chance for any but a rare individual to enter college or amass sufficient capital legally to start a business or to get into the high wage skilled job markets. We know that poverty is a source of crime, and yet we do virtually nothing to improve the life chances of the vast majority of the inner city poor. They are as poor as ever and are facing cuts in welfare and other sources. So let me go ahead and do some coaching right now and discuss this portion that they're, as scholars, not having the knowledge about the social economics or the social stratification of poverty versus wealthy or rich or affluency. Affluency and rich have more crime as well. Their crime is unrecorded and not penalized or punished. We know in society that we have had serial killers that was considered as military war experts, as Columbus, as Napoleon, as all of these tyrants who came in, enslaved populations, and created genocide, holocaust to people and populations and communities that were minding their own business. This shows us a list of communities that were committing crime on a daily basis, but were not considered as criminals. So, in some form or some world system, these crimes were approved. And so we see now that poverty, the poor crimes are not approved, but the rich crimes are approved. We go through corporate greed, corporate what do you call it, mismanagement. We have a list of crimes that are not considered as punishable or do not see a life sentence or death row or a relationship with the law enforcement system. And that is because they have the right to purchase the system. Back in the Depression, we noticed that the United States did go bankrupt, and therefore the wealthy did purchase the United States. Therefore, their communities were not able to um, be a part of the crime experience or the justice system because they purchased it. So they were exempt from it. And therefore, they are an exempt society, which we call an invisible society. So a lot of times we don't discuss these realities or these dimensional truths. What we do discuss is the poverty because we don't want to face the truth in the matter that poverty is punishable. And even if they did not do any crime, they still would be put into prisons and they still would be put into life sentences. We have seen that with wrongful convicted, wrongful sentencing, and wrongful deaths. It doesn't matter if the person is innocent or is minding their own business or is not practicing crime. It is the system that is corrupted and dysfunctional and defective because they continue to prey on poverty stricken communities, and they end up still pursuing their life as commodities, whether as properties or as commodities to be experimented on or to be punished to purchase their systems or to give their systems credibility or validation or to give themselves supremacy. So we have to examine and argue some of these elements that these scholars have laid out about poverty. Poverty is not linked to crime. Poverty is linked to survival, just like the rich is linked to survival. We talked about this in many biological science, chemical science, and physics or astrophysics, that survival is part of the natural element or variable of life. Now, to put a price tag on survival has been the issue or the argument. Putting a price tag on water, putting a price tag on air, putting a price tag on housing, putting a price tag on surviving has been an issue, mostly weighted in the poverty-stricken communities because they are unprotected and they can be preyed on because they do not have a military campaign that is successful. If they had a military campaign that were successful, they would become the victors. And in that victors, they would become predators. And in that process of being predators, like the rich, they are predators. They are able to, protect their societies as predators. And then they would have to compete against predators. It would be predators against predators. And the strongest predator would be the victor of the predators. So there's different levels of this consciousness. And so those that are prey or choose to be innocent bystanders, they do not have to be prey. And, some people can be under the radar or out of sight, out of mind, or escape corruption and become a invisible society as well and not become predators. So there is these two arguments of what can be realistic and coexistent. It would be the consciousness of predators and the consciousness of the people that are not prey, but they are definitely invisible or they are escaped corruption or exempt on some level of punishment and being preyed on or being victimized. And that is a level we can call a monastery life. A lot of times monasteries wasn't preyed on, but we can see in the early AD century, they were preyed on. Matter of fact, they were preyed on by Napoleon and other conquest settlers and Europeans that came through from the north down to the south and to the east and the west. So with that said, I'm going to take a break from the scholars because we examined some of their conversations. So I only focused on a paragraph. And so we're going to go ahead and move on and delve into another conversation. So let's take a break and come back soon. This is Coach K signing off. One love, much love, all love. Peace and blessings. Thank you.